Hi everybody, good evening to you all. Thank you so much for being here, giving me your time this evening. I'm going to make it worth your while. And I'll start off by saying hello to all the different channels. We're going live now on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. So hello to everybody on those channels that's joining us. And especially for anybody who's on Zoom, I want to say hello to you personally. Hello Marcia, Dario and Kulvinder. So if you have any comments tonight or if you have any questions, if you're on any of the other channels, you can just put your comments in at the bottom. And if you're on Zoom, you can literally put them in directly on the chat itself, and I will be able to see it directly here. So you'll be able to communicate with me directly. Now, first question as always, tradition on the webinars, is I want to find out where you are. Okay, where are you? Please tell me, where are you? If you don't mind, pop into the chat, just type a little note. I'm logging in from, you don't have to write down I'm logging in from, but just say your city in Ireland, county, your country, whatever it is. I'm interested to find out where you're logging in from. I'm in Dublin at the moment. If you're wondering where I am, this isn't imaginary. This isn't just like a recorded video. This is live. This is very live. So I'm in Firhouse Tala in Dublin. And we have our big premises here. Okay, Dario, Cambridge. Wonderful, Dario. Excellent. Anybody else want to pop in on the chat where you are logging in from? Hello, Karina from Romania. Ce face. You see? I know two words. Ce face. I know bine bine. That's it. I'm just showing off my little Romanian I know, which means how are you, and I'm fine, basically. Elizabeth from Ireland. Wonderful, Elizabeth. Where in Ireland, Elizabeth? Where are you in Ireland? Are you on the coast, the north, the south, east, west? Tell me. And as we do, David, how are you? Great to have you on board, David. Cologne, wonderful, absolutely fantastic. And yes, and anybody else want to pop in? Do I have anybody else left to ask? Let's see, who else do I have left to ask? I don't have anybody. Did I ask Marcia? Asvidoi, great. Marcia, Romania, fantastic. County Cork, Elizabeth, great, great. I went to Irish College in County Cork, where you only speak Irish. It was great. It was great. It was a place called Glenageary. And anybody who's not from Ireland, at some stage, going down and visit beautiful County Cork. There's a very hilly area. Would we call it mountains, Elizabeth? Called the Gugan Barra. And it's a very, very beautiful part of Cork. And I enjoyed many a wonderful time there exploring. And Kulvinder's from the UK. Wonderful, Kulvinder. Thank you so much. And David, thank you for putting on the camera. Much appreciated. And by the way, anybody who wants to put on the camera, feel free to do so. I love to see people on the webinar. Sometimes when you just see names, it's like, is there anybody out there? I don't know of anybody listening to me, please. But when I can see people, I know that you haven't fallen asleep or gone for a cup of tea or out walking the dog. You know, it's good. Right, folks. Well, listen, thanks a million for joining me tonight. I just want to say hello there to Ellen. And hello, Ellen just joined us. Ellen, I remember you from a long time ago. Thank you so much for joining. It's great to have you. Yeah, let me just send a little message. Now, one second. Don't leave me. Don't go anywhere. Just type in a message. All right, that's it. Right, folks, and I think there's one or two people in the waiting room there as well who will be coming in shortly. Right, folks, so let's get going. So we're here tonight about the security of job, how to keep job security. All right, it's really important. Now, I had this webinar previously I put a lot of information into it. But now this time I've shaved it a little bit. I want to punch through with a couple of really important points and get you a little bit of a taste for this. Me personally, I have had my own experiences with job security. And I'm sure everybody on this webinar has had the same. I've had times when I was wondering, am I going to have a job in this company next month? And what will I do if I don't have a job? Where is the money for the mortgage going to come from? How am I going to feed the kids? Will my wife have to work full time? Or will we both have to? How are we going to handle this? So job security is extremely important. And what I'm going to go over with you right now is going to highlight those exact points, this exact thing for you, okay? So the webinar tonight is based on this book, The Problems of Work by L. Ron Hubbard. And as you can see, I've got a couple of notes left in it because I want to read a couple of small sections from it, okay? Now, so the first question is, and this is the title of the chapter, on what does holding a job depend? On what does holding a job depend? I'm going to read these questions out to you, right? Familial connections, in other words, family connections. Who you know. Personal charm. Look. And with those ones, we've often seen people getting jobs that don't particularly deserve it. Or maybe they do. But it's because they know somebody. Because they've got a family member in the business, and so therefore they get a job. Or they know the neighbor, and therefore they get a job that way. And if you have that and you can do it, okay, fine. But you often see you're trying to get a job, you're trying to get a good job, but somebody else gets that job because they know the guy. And it seems unfair. Personal charm. Okay. You know, how big is your smile to the boss? You know, look, you know, do you roll the dice and hope that you get the job? Let's look at these last few. Is it education? Industry? Industry means hard work. Interest? Intelligence? Personal ability? Now look, these last few that I read out, education, intelligence, interest, personal ability, industry, which means hard work, are the basic ingredients that you already know about. But often, even though we're educated, we work hard, we've got good ability, we've got good intelligence, we're actually interested, even though we've got all those things, quite often we find that somebody else gets promoted instead of you. Somebody else gets the job, somebody else gets the break because they know the boss, or, you know, and you, after a while, you can start thinking to yourself, what's the point? What is the point? I'm slaving away for years and I never get the breaks. And some fella comes in the back door and he gets the breaks. I'm getting let go, but this other guy isn't. Why am I getting let go? So what's the point? Why don't I just go on a 6-year holiday, take work off, and then I'm not going to bother working for the rest of my life. I'm just going to put my feet up in front of the fire. I'm going to watch Netflix all day long. And then when I finish watching Netflix, I'm going to go on a holiday. And I'm going to come back from my holiday, I'm going to get back watching Netflix. What's the point? If I'm working so hard, I can't save enough money for my family. I can't save enough money to get a house. People are passing me by, they're getting promotions, and I've done my best. I've even done a home study course, and I'm still not getting the breaks. So after a while, you can start thinking, what is the point? Okay. Let me ask you, and you can pop your little answer into the chat. Has anybody ever thought that? What's the point in working? What's the point? Anybody ever thought that? Pop it into the chat or give me a thumbs up. Or am I the only one? I'm not saying I think like that now, but I definitely have thought about it in the past. What is the point in going to work? Anybody had that? not that I can see. Well, if you have, pop it into the chat. That would be great. I just want to say hello, Ellen. I just wanted to say hello to you. I don't know whether you had your audio on the last time. Didn't acknowledge you there when you came in. Hello, good to see you. Okay. Let me tell you, first of all, why it is work is important and why it is that you need to increase security in work. So I'm going to read another little section from this book. This little book, by the way, is absolutely fabulous. There is so much information in here that can help you to keep your job, to get a job, maintain your position, and grow. So, why bother working? Why worry about work? Listen to this. But the role of work in existence is the greater role than any other. Some say we spend a third of our lives in bed, and therefore beds are important. But we spend more than a third of our lives at work. And if we don't work, we don't have a bed. So it seems that work is more important by far. If you add up the various parts of life, love, or sports, or entertainment, you will find that the majority of concentration is not on any of these, but upon work. Work is the major role of our existences, whether we like it or not. If we don't like it, we don't like life. So, there's life, okay? 7/10 is work. Okay? That doesn't look like 7/10. That looks like 7. 7/10 of your life is work. So if you don't like work, you don't like the majority of your life. Even people who are rich, okay, they don't have any money problems because they've inherited a huge estate from their granddad who was I don't know, he owned a huge amount of land in Ireland, I don't know. 7/10 of his life is also and should be work. Doing something, being out there. And in this bracket here, we have sports, we have rest, we have entertainment, and let's not forget that last one that has become very important in our daily lives these days, social media. I mean, we're all on our phones. Even when I'm at home now, I get stages when I go, I'm never going to be on Facebook again. And then next week I'm scrolling to see what's on. And it's an entertaining source of enjoyment. So 7/10 work, and the rest of it is here, okay? And then sleep after that. Okay? To have fun, and as we do it, want to improve secure life. Excellent. Now, listen to this. This is why it's important to get work stable. If we find a man insane, old-time ologies would have us look up his love life or his childhood. So the typical first thing you do, you go to a counsellor, you say, look, I'm feeling a bit mad. One of their first things they'll do is, okay, let's go into your relationship, how's that going? And just tell me all about your childhood. It's, we need to discuss this. What happened when you were 5? And okay, it doesn't mean that these things aren't always valid, but listen to this. A newer idea, and a better one, is to look up his security and conditions of work. As security goes bad in a nation, insanity rises. If we were to attack national insanity problems and conquer them, we wouldn't build better insane asylums, we would better the condition of work. For example, if you have a person who has got something to do, and he's busy and he's contributing, he's going to feel better automatically by actually producing, by doing something. So a little summary. Life is 7/10 work, 1/10 familial, 1/10 political. Well, I don't know, when this book was written, maybe political was more important. I'd say now we can replace that with social media. And 1/10 relaxation. Economics, which means the paycheck struggle for, is 7/10 of existence. This is what's called economics, the struggle for your paycheck. Lose a man or woman, his income or his job, and you find him in bad mental condition. Usually. If we're going to find proofs of this anywhere, we'll find them everywhere. Now, let's take a break. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to have a think about your life and people in your life. I want you to think about somebody who isn't working. Okay? Who doesn't work. Somebody who does not work. And I want you to type in to the chat your first observation about that person. I want you to think about somebody that you've noticed in your life who does not work, and pop in your first thing that you think about that person. Observation. I'm not saying they're a bad person, by the way. Some people are out of work because they can't find work, or because they've been let go. But I just want you to write down, what is your observation about that person? Take a minute to think about that. Right? Give me your example. So somebody who is down on his income and he's down on his job. Okay? He doesn't have a job, which means he doesn't have income. So how does that person come across? How do they look? You know, what does it seem like they're going through? Anybody want to throw in any guesses? Or does anybody know anybody who's unemployed? Or not working? Or who hasn't got income? I'm sure you're all typing away, but if you're not, it doesn't matter. I have known several people. Okay, there's an example. Sad, depressed, and drinking alcohol. Thank you, Ryan. Okay. As we do, hopelessness. Okay. Good. One example that I've seen, I've met many people in this condition, is that they're very bored. It's very hard for them to motivate themselves because they don't really have a purpose. And I lose purpose, very hard to motivate the person. But again, they can start slipping into things about, you know, watching too much TV, or not taking care of their health, or just in general not feeling motivated or happy. That's often the case. So, I'm going to finish off with these two little bits. What are the principal worries of existence? Worry over security. Security means feeling safe and secure, economically and financially. Number 2, worry over worth. Are you granted the worth in society? You know, do people recognize you as having worth? Worries about being able to do things in life for others. Can I support my children? Can I support my wife? Can I do something for my mother? Are the principal worries of existence. Let's be very simple. People with nothing to do, people without purpose, most easily become neurotic or mad. Now, neurotic just means like having kind of stressful personality traits. Like, for example, they could be over-anxious, or continuously checking the taps, or losing the head at very tiny little things continuously. Work basically is not a drudgery, something that you have to be dragged to do. It is something to do. The paycheck tells us we are worth something. So when you get your paycheck at the end of the week, your boss is telling you, okay, you know what? You're valuable. You're worth something. There's money in my appreciation of what you've done for me because you're worth something. Now, when a person is on the dole or on social welfare, again, the government is saying, look, we want you to survive. So there's a degree of the government saying, look, we want you to survive. You're worth it to keep going. But you get a much better feeling of worth when it's given to you by an employer or by a customer. Okay, the paycheck tells us we are worth something. And of course, it buys us what we have to live, or almost does. So it's sometimes covered a paycheck, sometimes covered, and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, yes, I understand, Elizabeth. Due to spine injury, been doing trainings, though I miss my work. Good. So you're, Elizabeth, trying to do something and trying to be productive. And yes, the biggest problem with not being working is not being part of a group and contributing. It's so important to be part of a group and being able to contribute to others and contribute something of value, you know? Okay, so this is the basic thing, and I wanted to just get you that point, because right now we're going to go into the 5 ingredients of successful work. And if you keep these in, and I'm going to give you points on each one, if you keep these in, you are going to increase your stability, your confidence in yourself, and your ability to maintain a job, so that you don't get laid off. Because, you know, in this society at the moment, you know, there's been a lot of redundancies announced on TV and so forth. So things are changing very much. So you have to make sure that you increase your value. And here's how you're going to do it. Okay? So I'll go over this with you, and I've got a tip on each one. The ingredients of successful work are ingredients, okay? Ingredients of successful work, okay? How to be successful in your job. This is just like baking a cake. I'm going to tell you what the ingredients are, okay? Number 1 is training in that area. So for example, if you want to be successful in your job, let's say you're a motor mechanic and you're starting off, well, you need training. If you want to be a nurse, you need training. I'm going to give you a little tip on this in a minute. If you want to be a mother, you need to do, nobody does a course on how to raise kids. You kind of assume that you know it, but there's really good information out there on how to raise kids properly. And it's probably not a good example, because in actual fact, mothers particularly can do it very naturally, and so can dads too. Okay, so training, vital. Now, there's a little offer I'm going to be giving you guys at the end of this webinar, and I'm going to introduce this little booklet here. It's called Ethics. Ethics means the decisions that you make in life on how to survive, and the conditions basically means how to work out your week to basically make a strategy on how to improve things in life, okay? So this gives you how to create graphs so that you can manage your life. And so the information in this would show you that, okay, if you can see that things are going up. So let's take physical exercise. You want to improve your physical exercise. So last week I did 60 sit-ups. The next week 61, then 59, then 79, 78, 80, 81, 82. So it's going up and up and up. And there's a formula in this book which shows you how to keep that going. Okay? And it's under these things called the conditions formulas. And similarly, if things are going down in your business or in your job, let's say you sold 10 cakes last week and now you're down to 2 cakes this week. Well, things are plummeting, and there's a certain series of steps that you must apply for that, okay? So this basically shows you how to get trained on the different areas of your life. Because remember, training in a certain area will improve your confidence and will help you to become more secure in your job. All right, and so that's the first thing. Next one, under the same bracket, is experience. Okay, can anybody please pop in an example? I just want to get a bit of a flavor for what you do. Can you pop into the chat what you do for a living, if you don't mind? Because I want to give some examples around this. Either what you do for a living or what you'd like to do. Okay? Could you pop into the chat what you do for a living, if you don't mind? You don't have to, by the way. What you do for a living or what you'd like to do. I want to get a flavor for what you do so I can give you some appropriate examples here. Okay, Dario. Sales and marketing. I'm going to write these down so I don't forget them. Okay, anybody else want to pop in what you do for a living or what you'd like to do? What do you do for a living? Pop it into the chat. What do you do for a living? Are you an artist? Are you a mother? Are you, do you drive a train? Do you sweep the streets? Do you run a company? Are you a politician? Are you run a shop? What do you do for a living? Okay, let's see. So sales and marketing, I got you, Dario. Elizabeth, love my beauty and massage therapy. Now studying NLP. Okay, beauty, massage, and NLP. Okay. Okay, very good. And as we do it, gardening and farm works. Wonderful. Gardening, farming. Farming works. Lovely. Thank you so much. Construction worker, I'd like to influence people to heal. Okay, so construction. And then healing. Okay, so something similar to what Elizabeth said there in the NLP. Healing. Okay, very good. Anybody else want to pop down an example of what you do for a living or what you'd like to do? If you do and I don't catch up with you, then I'll come back and check. Okay, so an example, sales and marketing. Again, if you keep increasing your training on sales and marketing, getting good techniques from reputable people, you're going to improve. Experience with somebody that's successful in that area. So generally when people are starting off in a certain field, they want to be successful, of course, but they hang around and get advice from people who claim to be successful but were never successful. So you're always best to get experience and guidance from somebody who is successful in that area. And I might also add ethical. Just because a guy has 10 million in his bank account does not mean that he got that money ethically. Okay? So somebody who is very successful and got there ethically, in other words, properly, actually working hard. Beauty, massage, and NLP, again, training in that area, learning about the new techniques, learning about, all the different styles. Experience, again, under the wing of somebody who is successful in that area consistently. Very successful, okay? Next one, gardening and farming work. Again, same story. You can get training and you get experience under a farmer who is, let's say if you want to learn advanced farming techniques, well then you would go and apply for a job on a farm that uses those techniques and you study under them while you're also doing your course. And then construction, the same story. There's so much you can learn about different techniques in construction and also in healing, and you can get experience in that areas too. Okay, so that's the first thing. If you get those things in and keep those in, that's going to increase your job security. Next point is good general intelligence and ability. Okay, now there's something I want you to watch out for here. In order to be successful, you do have to have good general intelligence. It doesn't mean that you're fantastic at mathematics or, you can remember 50,000 different things at the same time. Intelligence just means the ability to actually see problems, put problems there, and resolve them. Okay? So somebody can be very, very intelligent. My wife, for example, she is so intelligent when it comes to logistics. How do we get this done? She can see all the different angles of different things, So I'm actually quite good in looking at a certain topic, and she's very, very good at looking at other things, So very high intelligence. So intelligence, as I said, doesn't mean that you got all A's in your exams in school. It just means that you're very good at solving problems and seeing them and putting them there. Okay? So good general intelligence and ability. So you do need ability. And I believe that every single person on this webinar has that. There's two things that you need to watch out for. to improve your general intelligence and ability. Now, there is something that we do which helps somebody to clear up stuff that happened to them in the past, but that's a different webinar. I just want to go over one or two things here. Okay, I want you to watch out for critical people, people who put you down, people who tell you you're no good, people who discourage you from wanting to do anything with your life, people who make a mockery of you every time you try to make a decision about life, people who tell you, oh, you know, Joe, I know you want to be a successful farmer, but I need you here too. I've got nobody to press the remote for me when I want to watch Netflix. I want to change the program, and I've nobody to press the remote. So I need you to stay with me, please, please, Joe. Was it Joe? I don't know. Anyway, the point is, be aware of people in your environment who are directly or indirectly trying to pull you down, because that will knock your concept of how smart you are. Because believe me, you are very, very smart. You are a very intelligent individual. But that intelligence and ability often gets suppressed or squashed down by certain types of individuals in your environment. So it's just something to watch out for. So to improve your intelligence and ability, just make sure that you spot people who are constantly critical of you. Now, I'm not saying that if you have a coach who screams at you because he wants you to get better and wants you to get better, that's kind of different. I'm talking about somebody who's driving you the other direction, telling you you're no good, you're worthless, you're worse than your Uncle Joe, who's now an alcoholic and he's in an insane asylum. Okay? And also, I want to just put in a little plug. I always take this opportunity in a webinar to knock at least one person. I'm only messing now, kind of a theory. And that theory is that labeling you with some sort of an emotional disorder just because you think differently. There are so many emotional disorders that people get labeled with and get pills pumped into them for that. It's just not fair. For example, you have kids who are very, very active, very bright and bubbly, and they're not interested in school, and then they get labelled with something, and they get pills then recommended for the rest of their life. I don't agree with that. Okay, rant over, let's move on. Good general intelligence and ability, you have to improve that. And the next one is clear your words. Now, this is a secret. This is a secret. Believe me, I went through school and college without finding the most important piece of information about studying any subject. And if you keep this in, you are going to improve your ability to resolve problems, which is your intelligence. Now, this little important note is at the very beginning of every single one of L. Ron Hubbard's books. In reading this book, be very certain you never go past a word you do not fully understand. The only reason a person gives up a study or becomes confused or unable to learn is because he or she has gone past a word that was not understood. Okay, exercise time. I want you to give me an example of a subject that you started studying and you gave up. Pop that into the chat for me. Give me an example of a subject that you started to study and then you just gave up. Okay, Ellen, got that. Van driver and gardens, fantastic. And you can definitely be successful in those areas. Thank you. Okay. Give me an example of a subject that you started to study, you were so interested in it, and then you gave up. I'll give you an example from my experience. My experience of this was music theory. Okay? I wanted to learn a guitar. I got a guitar. I bought a guitar. And I decided I'm going to learn theory first. Before I start, I'm going to get ahead of everybody. I'm going to learn guitar theory. So I got a book, and I started to learn guitar theory. How long do you think I lasted? Not very long at all. Maybe 2 weeks. Maybe 2 weeks. If even that. I just dropped it. I think the guitar is still in the house. I don't know, I haven't seen it in a long time. Okay, Elizabeth, art. Wonderful. I was told by my mother and twin as a child I wasn't the creative one. Oh. Elizabeth, that's such a beautiful example. You know, anybody can do art. Yes, you might have natural artists who are naturally inclined, but there are techniques of art that you can learn. Anybody can do art, and this is covered in books. Brilliant example, Elizabeth, and a really good example of somebody who just, you know, oh dear, your mother and twin shouldn't have said that to you. Oh. Okay, Ryan, metalwork, suppressive, critical people. Okay, very good. Thank you. We're going to come back to this. Dario, driving helicopter. Okay, now, the interesting thing is, right, is that if you are studying any subject, whether it's art or metalwork or driving helicopters, if you're studying that subject and you don't do this, you don't clear your words, you just pass them by, don't understand it, doesn't matter. Like in school, people are taught, if you don't understand the word, just keep reading it, it'll eventually, just make sense of it. Oh dear. And right now, from my perspective now, I don't think it's great advice, but back then I wouldn't have seen anything wrong with it. But you have to clear your words. If you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to start getting tired. Okay? You're going to lose interest. And you're going to drop out. So for any of you who gave me examples, if you were brave enough to go back and pick up those books that you started studying, whether it be on art, on metalwork, or on driving the helicopter, and just had a look from the beginning on and check and see, is there any words or terms you didn't understand, and look them up in a dictionary, you would be surprised at how much of a difference that would make to your intelligence. I keep telling people, you can study any subject that you want, absolutely any subject, if you clear your words properly. And when I say clear your words, I mean look them up in a dictionary, make some sentences with them, find out where the word came from until you're 100% satisfied. Okay, so that's that. Now, next one. Now I'm after running out of space, so I'm going to create space. This is great. We can create space. I'm going to write these a little bit smaller so I can fit them on the board. Okay, number 3 is a capability of high affinity. And affinity means love or liking. Okay? Now, most successful, for example, managers, business people, professionals, and those people who are respected and admired and looked up to, generally are capable of a high affinity, which means they are capable of finding something to like about people. Like a really good businessman can see the qualities of a person and can find out what they like about the person. And that's a starting point for a relationship. If you cannot find anything to like about an individual, you're not going to be able to develop a relationship with them very easily. So you have to find something to like. And so practice that in your life. Go out there and find something to like about people. Okay? Next one is a tolerance of reality. Okay? A tolerance of reality. Now, what does that mean? Essentially, reality just means different points of view. So, sometimes when you're going through Facebook or Instagram and you look at a post and you completely disagree with it, right? Your opinion of the person who said the thing goes down, okay? So, for people who are successful and who move up in life, because they're dealing with lots of different types of people, they become more tolerant of other people's viewpoints. So, you might not agree that basketball is a worthy sport, okay? But there's somebody on your team in work who loves basketball, but you think it's ridiculous, okay? Now, this doesn't mean you have to agree with them, you have to change your mind, but you have to, at least tolerate their reality. You can say, look, they have the right to have that viewpoint and be able to tolerate it, Don't get so frustrated. And the last one here is number 5, the ability, and this is really, really important, ability to communicate and receive ideas. The ability to communicate ideas and to receive ideas. Now, I want to spend a little bit of time on this one, but where am I going to draw it? This is a problem for me. Okay, let's see if I can shave this down a little bit. I'm going to take that out. Yeah, give a bit of space there. Okay. Communication is not just somebody talking at you, la 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 la. It's somebody who can do it 2 ways. Okay? So communication is a 2-way street. Okay? You might know somebody who's very good at talking, very clear, very confident in their talking. And you might say to yourself, that's a really good communicator. However, if that person cannot also listen, then they've only got half of it. A good communicator is somebody who can give a communication, but also 50% of the time listen as well and acknowledge. So a good, clear communication would consist of something like this. Okay. Hi, Joe. How are you? Okay. He's able to communicate. And often people communicate, but they're not interested in the answer. So the answer can be, I'm fine. How are you? It's a 2-way street. Now, what I want you to do for a moment is take just this moment to think of somebody in your life that you think is a really good communicator and pop it into the chat. Give me an example of somebody that you know in your life that's a really good communicator and pop it into the chat, if you don't mind. Somebody that you have seen that you know in life. And I mean based on this definition, because communication is the ability to communicate and receive ideas, to give and to receive. If you've got someone who can talk but cannot listen, that's 50% not really in a good condition. Yeah, good, that guy Anthony Robbins, yeah. I've often seen him on TV and on different things, and yeah, he's a very good communicator, extremely good. Anybody else that you've noticed very good at communicating? Any friends, family? How's you doing? My Jimmy. Oh, excellent. Brilliant. Great. And you know what? They're easy to talk to. It's nice to be around them, these people, because you can say what you want and they'll listen, and then they can say something to you, and it's a 2-way street. It's not just one. I used to have somebody I knew years ago when I was in college, and he was just great at communicating, great, and very forceful about his communication. But I never got a chance to speak. And when I did, he was not listening, never did. And so I always thought to myself, there's something wrong with me. Maybe he doesn't want to listen to me, whatever. But it wasn't. It was just the fact that his communication was only 50%. Okay. Ryan, Andy Harrington, public speaker. I don't know Andy Harrington, but thank you for the example, Ryan. Okay, folks, that's fantastic. So now let's just summarize what we've gone over here, okay? For you to keep security in your job, you need training and experience. Let me just read out to you the exact quote. This is the book I'm going to be promoting to you at the end here. Training and experience in the subject being addressed, okay? So you need training, and keep increasing your training and improving your training. Don't just sit on a level saying, okay, I'm done now. That's all the training I'm ever going to do. Thanks very much. I never wanted to go back to school. Keep improving your training bit by bit. Good general intelligence and ability. And my advice on this one is just keep an eye out for people who put you down, directly or indirectly. All right? And always, always, if you're studying anything, don't pass by words you don't fully understand. Make sure to clear them up. All right? And the last three have to do with relationships with people. Why? Because to be successful in life, it does involve other people. If you're going to grow, if you're going to become more successful in any area, even if you're an independent contractor, you need to be able to deal with people and help people and have people support you. So you need to be able to find something to like. That means a capability of high affinity. Find something to like about the person. A tolerance of reality. In other words, be able to sustain somebody else's point of view or be able to tolerate it, you know. Just relax. Just because they don't have the same viewpoint as you doesn't mean they're a bad person and you should excommunicate them. You know, more of a tolerance of reality. And as businesses grow and they take in more staff, there's different people from different cultures and different age groups and so forth. And a good manager who can get all those people together has to tolerate higher reality. And some of the biggest companies in the world apply this. And finally, very, very important, the ability to communicate and receive ideas. And if you can't communicate very well, or you're very shy, or you don't want to be out there, or you don't want to listen to people, or you find people boring, and they drive you nuts, okay, oh, I can't listen to this guy for one more second, then do a communication course and we can hook you up with one. Okay? Now, very good. Okay, so these are the basic points of how to increase job security. All right? And if you apply these, you're going to become very successful in your job and you're going to maintain it. Okay, what I've given you tonight is just a tiny piece of information from this book. So we're coming to the end of the webinar. That's all I wanted to communicate it to you. All right? And so what have we gone over? We've gone over the importance of work, the importance of security, and we've gone over these basics here. Make sure you work on these, and we can help you with that. But the very first step is education. So what I would recommend for you is this particular book, The Problems of Work. Okay, and I'll just show you a few pointers on this book. It's written by the author. Obviously, it's written by the author, L. Ron Hubbard, who is a genius, in my opinion. Wrote many, many fantastic books on self-improvement. So this book has got loads in it, helps you with increasing efficiency, relationships with colleagues and customers, and regaining back your energy. So there's just so many useful pieces of information in this book that you can apply on an immediate basis. All right? Now, if you get this book tonight, there is a special offer, which is an additional booklet, which I'm going to show you right now. And that's this booklet called Ethics and the Conditions. So if you get the Problems of Work tonight before 10 o'clock, you're going to get this booklet free. Now, this booklet is fantastic. It shows you how to basically turn every area of your life into a statistic. I mean, that sounds bad, but it's basically, it's like, you know, when you're driving a car, right? You can see the speed dial and the temperature gauge and all these things. It's important to have these gauges so that you can determine how fast or how slow you should go and how you should drive your car. So these are similar that you can create in your life in terms of your physical health, your relationships, your job, your business, anything like that. And then it's got the formula. So for every one of those graphs, there's a formula and on how to increase it. There's pictures here as well. And there's also, with this course here, there's exercises that you can do at the back. And there's a free online course that goes with this book. This is how you get your condition up to the next level and keep it there, okay? It's called Ethics in the Condition. So if you get the Problems of Workbook tonight, then you will get this booklet free with it. Okay, so now I'm going to have you, if you don't mind, before we wrap up, we're going to do a poll. Okay, there's one last little thing, right? I have also organized a free personality test for anybody who wants one, okay? And the whole idea is to give you an idea about what your strengths and weaknesses are, all right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, before we wrap up, put up a little poll, and I want you to just take a few minutes, 2 minutes, to just fill in that particular poll and answer the questions if you don't mind. And then we will wrap up with some last words of wisdom, and then we will conclude. So just take a moment to fill in that poll if you don't mind. It would be a great help to me if you did. That's fantastic. I can see people are filling it out, so thank you so much. Keep going. For anybody who hasn't filled it out, please do so. And then we are going to, I'm going to give you some final words of inspiration. If you hang on, if you do the poll, and you don't, it's not like, do it. If you do the poll and we get this wrapped up, I'm going to give you some beautiful words of inspiration to get you going for the week. And you're going to love it. Elizabeth, where is the poll? It should be on your screen, Elizabeth. It should be. It is on mine. If you can't see it, let me just send a message. Okay, Elizabeth, don't worry. I'm going to send a message to Sylvia. Oh, it's gone now. Okay, let me just see. Okay, all right. Did you get it done, Elizabeth? Yeah. Can't see it. Okay, no problem. Well, look, don't worry, Sylvia, or not Sylvia. Sylvia's the other person. I will have Sylvia reach out to you with the questions, and you can answer them directly, okay? Oh, Sylvia sent it to you. That's fantastic. Great. Great. Okay. 1 second. We're nearly wrapped up. Thank you very much, folks. All right, then. Good. So that's it. We're finishing off on the poll. Thank you so much for everybody who filled it in. Much appreciated. Now, for anybody who chose to get the book, there's going to be a link going up there shortly. And as I said, if you get it before 10 o'clock tonight, you get that book free. It is absolutely brilliant, vital information that you can use on an immediate basis. Okay? So that link is going to be going up there shortly for the book, and so there it is, and Sylvia has kindly put it up. Now that link is going to be available after I finish and you don't see me anymore, so don't worry if you don't get to click it right now. Of course you can if you like, but it'll be still there. Okay, and for anybody who wants to do the personality test, okay, just send Sylvia a little message or even put a comment in. Yes, I want to do it. And she will reach out to you directly. And oh, she's going to put the link for the test. So you can also click on the link, which is coming up for the personality test as well. So that will come up there now in a minute. Okay, folks, so while she's doing that, and she's done that, there's the link for the test for anybody who wants to do the test. All right. Last few words of wisdom. Okay. Job security is really important. Very important. Work is important. If you have the goal to be a multi-billionaire, that's completely fine. You have plenty of money in your bank and you'll be able to support as many people. But you also need to work. Because if you don't, your morale goes down. It doesn't matter if you have 500 billion euros in the bank. If you don't work as well and you contribute, your morale is going to slip. So it's so important to have stability for yourself, for your family, and for your future. And each person on this webinar has the capability to achieve total professional, great relationships with people, and fantastic intelligence and ability, as I've gone over here on the board. I promise you, you wouldn't be on this webinar if you didn't have that ability, because quite often people don't go for self-improvement webinars because they think they already know. And I'm not trying to knock these people, some people just aren't interested. But in many cases people think they know, but they don't. And people that come to webinars, generally, they're curious because they know there's something they don't know. And that's an edge. You've got an edge there. So each one of you have that edge. Okay? Folks, we will leave it there. As I said, do get yourself a copy of this book and these books before 10 o'clock tonight. First step is always education, or do the personality test. I want to say thank you to everybody who's stayed with me on Facebook, on YouTube and Instagram. And I would like to thank everybody who has joined me and stick with me on the on Zoom, particularly David, who had the camera on the whole time. Thank you. Thank you. You were there for me. You were there. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good. So, fantastic. Thank you, Marcia. I hope I pronounced that right. Kulvinder, Elizabeth, Ellen. Hello, Ellen again. Ryan and Dario. Folks, thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you at some stage in the future. The links are going to stay there at the end of the webinar, but I'll be gone. Have an absolutely beautiful rest of your evening. Take the dog for a walk if it's not too cold. Stick on a movie on Netflix if you really want to watch one. Have yourself a nice cup of tea if that's what you want. And enjoy. Okay, folks? Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.